Welcome back to What If Deku was reborn, the Scorpius Rex. Here we go. Now, I know I said I put in a little hiatus. I was just saying that because I did not have enough time. Now that August is here, away from school, I can say anything. Well, not really, but I can do anything. Okay. Where we last left off, Izuku was going to sleep. He's been thinking, he's been thinking about the other Scorpius Rex. How did it get killed? And what does it mean by poisonous quills rightfully belong to it? As Izuku finally falls asleep, the next day comes by and Izuku's leg is feeling much better than last time. He's able to walk on it. He basically goes downstairs, seeing Inko while saying, "Izuku, you're okay." As she says, again, also. "Oh, also, I brought breakfast." And it's Izuku's favorite. Now, this may sound strange, but Izuku's favorite breakfast is steak. And I mean a lot of it. And Izuku forgot how to use forks and utensils, so he has to eat it with his mouth. Like everyone does. But literally grab it with his mouth. And yeah, after Izuku's done, he wipes all the, blood off his lips because he just ate raw steak, and I mean a bunch of it. As Izuku notices All Might's not in the house. Well, apartments? Yeah. And he says, so All Might has gotten to UA. As Izuku realizes, "Oh no, I'm gonna be late!" As he rushes to his room and gets his clothes on. And rushes to school, saying bye to his mother, as Inko waves also, while Izuku says, "Bye, Mom!" As Izuku says, Inko says, "Bye, Izuku!" As she silently thinks, I hope he doesn't get hurt again. I don't want to lose him. Not again. As Inko goes into the apartment, we cut to Izuku halfway there. He bumps into who's that person? Bakugo. He bumps into Bakugo, and Bakugo says, "Hey, there you are." Sorry, I'll be right back. Sorry. Huh? Sorry about that to everybody, but sorry, I'm back. Anyway, now, I'm gonna... Where was I? Oh, yeah. Bakugo says, "You're finally back. Sorry that, Anyway. So how are you doing, Izuku?" As Izuku says, "I'm doing good, Kachan. Anyway, want to ride?" As Bakugo says, "Hell yeah!" As he climbs onto Izuku's back, as Izuku says, "All aboard the Dino Express. Now keep your arms and legs in at all times. We're going primal." As Izuku gets on 4 legs and gets ready to boost, and he says, "Buckle up, everyone." As Bakugo says, "What? There's no seatbelts, you dum-dum." As Izuku says, "I didn't say there were any seatbelts. I said buckle up. And go!" As Izuku basically leaps from the ground and starts running. Bakugo is like trying to hold on for dear life. As Bakugo says, "Nerd, can you stop running?" As Izuku says, "Sorry, Katran, cannot be late." When they make it to Class 1A, Bakugo is basically dizzy out of his mind, and that day, All Might's teaching the class for the entire day. Yeah, a little different from the last time. Yeah. Sorry, something's going around in the house again. Sorry. As All Might says, "Young Midoriya, welcome back." As All Might notices Bakugo dizzy out of his mind, as he also says, "Young Bakugo, welcome back. Are you okay?" As Bakugo says, the dinosaur fast lizard." As he gets to his seat, Bakugo instantly passes out while Izuku is sitting on the ground like a dinosaur. Yeah, he doesn't have a seat now because he's gotten bigger a bit. But, Uraka welcomes Izuku back. Well, she says, "Izuku, welcome back. Are you okay?" As Izuku says, "Yeah, Uraka." As Uraka says, "During the USJ, you were strong. Super strong." As Izuku says, "Yeah." As All Might mentions the sport festival. Like during the middle of the lesson, everyone's talking. As All Might says, "Now class, I've got to bring this up to you. The sports festival will be coming soon. So you better get ready." Yeah. As everyone says, "The sports festival? What's that?" As All Might basically explains it, where everyone has to use their quirk in a race and a tournament and have to give off a speech. As yeah. 5 minutes pass by, and everyone's talking to Izuku about his quirk. Bakugo's not talking because he knows what it is. It's not a quirk. But Uraka says, "Izuku, despite being a giant dinosaur with feathers on the head," yeah, in case you forgot, Izuku has feathers on the head, like to represent his hair, but it's mostly quills all around his body. As Uraka says, "It's so soft, like a baby bird." As Izuku says, "Thanks, Uraka," blushing a bit. As All Might comes into the room and he's saying, "Hello, class." Noticing Uraka petting Izuku's hair. Well, not hair, but feathers. As he says out loud, "Young Midoriya, seems like someone's interested in you." As Izuku says, as he's basically stunned there in confusion, as Uraka is basically the same. They're trying to, say, no, it's not like that. Fluffy feathers, yeah. As Jiro decides to test that theory to see if Izuku does have fluffy feathers on his hair. As she instantly pets, her hand cannot get off, physically. He tries to see if anything is tugging it. Nothing's tugging it, so soft. As Jiro says, "Yep, it's definitely the feathers." As All Might says, "Anyway, go ahead and have lunch. You are hungry, right?" As everyone says, "Finally, lunch!" As they get to the lunch hall, as everyone's in the queue to get food. Yeah. Everyone at the back or front that hasn't seen Izuku yet are a bit terrified because they're right in front or back of a giant dinosaur. As it's Izuku's turn, he notices the chef there. He says, "Wait, you're that chef hero, aren't you?" As the person says, "Yeah. Anyway, what would you have, my prehistoric friend?" As Izuku says, "To be honest, can I have a steak? A big one?" As the person says, "Medium rare or cooked?" As Izuku says, "To be honest, I like it raw." As Bakugo, all the way at the back, yells out, "Since when do you like steak, and why do you like it raw?" As Izuku says, "Quiet! Trying to order." And Bakugo says, "You said what?" As the chef hero says, "Right on the way, my big prehistoric friend." As he gets his steak, which is basically big as an ox, he basically drags it on the ground to his table. Yeah. He realizes he's sitting alone. He feels a bit upset until Uraka, Bakugo, Todoroki a bit, and the entire Class 1A or other classes with mutation quirks say, "Don't worry, we'll comfort you." As Bakugo says, "You question, since when did you like steak?" As Izuku says, since. As Bakugo says, "Oh, okay." As Bakugo notices the huge steak. Like, you aren't really thinking of eating that. That thing's an entire cow. Yeah. As Uraka says, "Are you really gonna eat that? That thing's huge." As Izuku says, "Heck yeah, I am." As Izuku starts to eat it, and everyone at the table is cheering on Izuku like, "Izuku, Izuku, Izuku." 5 minutes pass, and he's done eating, and it's completely gone off the plate. Luckily, he brought a napkin just in case he got dirty. And so did Bakugo and Uraka, who were sitting next to him. Because that's how big the steak was. Ox size sideways. As, yeah. As both of them say, well, that wasn't necessary. As Izuku says, oh, sorry, I'll get that off. As he wipes it off of their faces and a bit off their clothes. As Bakugo says, I'll be with Kirishima. As Kirishima says, wow, Baku bro, that's very manly. Sitting next to that huge lizard. As, yeah, Kirishima is going to be a bit nervous of Izuku because he's never seen a dinosaur big as a truck. Well, not really. He's not that big yet. As Bakugo says, first off, that's one of our classmates. As Kirishima says, oh, sorry, Baku bro. As, yeah. What was I gonna say? Oh, yeah. As, as someone comes to the table, as this person says, wow, I cannot believe Class 1A has some stupid reptile. As you could have guessed, this is Monoma. As everyone says, hey, don't be mean to Izuku. Even Bakugo's in on this. Like, hey, you, stupid face. As he says, huh? Don't you call my best friend like that ever again. As Monoma says, or what? As Bakugo says, well, I'll fry you until you look like a steak. As Izuku says, don't worry, I got this. Getting up from his table. As Monoma says, really? Now, tell me, what makes me not a threat to you? My quirk is copying. As he gets a poke on the shoulder to see a standing up reptile and with a collar around it. Remember? Like Up, he has a collar around his neck that allows him to speak. As Izuku says, now listen here, ya little. Grabbing Monoma with his jaws instead with his hands. As Izuku says, you ever tease my friend ever again, and I swear I'm gonna make you look like Shrek. Well, no, forget that part, Shrek, but I'll make you look like a blade of grass with a little hint of red on your side, and you better shut up or I might end up eating you. As Monoma is basically terrified at this moment, and he says, okay, put me down, just please don't hurt me. As Izuku says, good. Bakugo notices one of Izuku's eyes is red. As Monoma runs off to his class table, yeah. And Izuku says, I'll teach him. And Bakugo says, wow, since when you can stand up for yourself like that? As Izuku says, don't give me bad memories. As Bakugo says, sorry. As he gets back to the table, Uraraka is sitting next to him, of course, while Bakugo's off with Kirishima. Yeah. As Uraraka is playing around with her quirk and a little bit of napkin, making it float and make it into weird shapes. as Uraraka makes it in a similar shape of a pteranodon for Izuku. As Izuku sees this, he starts chasing after it like a big cat. Not like a big ferocious cat, but he's basically chasing after it like if he's a cat, but the size of a truck. Yeah. As everyone's starting to realize he's going after the small paper pteranodon, Izuku starts chasing it around the table as Uraraka's basically laughing her head off because his reaction's just like a cat. Anyway, Izuku snaps out of it as he catches the paper pteranodon. As he says, what was that? I'm gonna get some more food. As Uraraka says, you do you. As Izuku goes back to the line, this time everyone's getting out of he's the first one in the line. And, yeah. The chef hero says, welcome back, my prehistoric friend. What would it be? As Izuku says, can I have, he personally asks for a big cow leg. Yeah. Basically, he gets a raw cow leg, not with the skin on, because, there's gonna be blood everywhere. But it's gonna be a bit mostly meat and bone. Yeah, no skin. But anyway, Izuku brings it to the table, and after he's done eating, he's basically using it as a chew toy now, the bone. As Uraraka says, Izuku, you're acting kind of like a dog now with that new bone. As Izuku says, what do you mean? As he's basically biting the bone like a dog would. As Uraraka says, are you gonna get rid of it? As Izuku hears this word and he protects the bone like if it's a chew toy or something, he says, no, mine. Let's say 3 months pass by. It's almost the not USJ, sorry, that already happened. But it's the sports festival. Izuku gets to the racing part. He gets ready to run as he says, good luck everyone. As Uraraka says, you too, Izuku. As Bakugo says, I'm gonna win this. As Izuku says, Kachan. As Todoroki says, may the best student win. Talking about himself. As, as basically when President Mike says, go everyone, go. As, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, as Todoroki freezes the ground that they were on, Izuku, being a dinosaur with bird-like reflexes, they can basically see time before anything happens. So Izuku jumps off the ground, Uraraka floats, Bakugo not having no clue why are they jumping. Yeah, he gets frozen on the ground, while Todoroki gets a head start. As Izuku says, why that, as Izuku runs after him. Uraraka gets onto the ground and starts running. Izuku, he's almost catching up to Todoroki. And then comes the minefield. Yeah. During this, Todoroki makes an ice bridge to jump over it, to walk over it, and smashes it before anyone can get over. And then, as Izuku sees it from afar, keep in mind, Scorpius Rex kind of have, since they're since they have T-Rex DNA, I'd assume they have good eyesight. So he sees this from afar, and while he says, "Todoroki, you cheating?" Anyway, as he starts to run even faster, he hears an explosion behind him while he hears, "Deku!" As he sees Bakugo just fly past with explosions in his hands. As, Bakugo basically flies over the bridge. Izuku, trying to run faster, gets over the chasm and basically leaps over it, landing on all four of his legs, and starts running on all of them. As he, wait, did I say? Oh! Forget the minefield part. Let's say it's the chasm. Yeah, this one's different. I'm sorry, guys. Whoopsie. Bound to be some mistakes. Now here comes the minefield. Yeah. And in my what-ifs, I like to spice things up. So the sports festival race is going to be a bit different. With the chasm first, then the minefields. As Izuku, basically noticing some robot pieces fly by, wondering what the heck is going on. As he sees robots along with a minefield right in front of him, Bakugo and Todoroki are trying to make sure not to step on any. Oraka finds floating over the chasm while saying, "Hello, Izuku." As Izuku says, "Hey, Oraka, aha." As Izuku finds a piece of a robot and digs up a big hole to put almost every one of the mines in there. As Todoroki and Bakugo are about to make it to the finish line, Izuku says, "Here goes nothing." Using the piece of metal of the robot as a shield and as a sleigh at the same time, and as he lands on all the mines, he gets basically flung into the air, basically right past them. And as he notices he's slowing down, he finds another bit of a minefield and uses the robot piece again to propel himself, making it to the finishing line. As President Mike says, and the winner is Izuku Midoriya, first place. As Izuku says, "I made it. Yes, I made it. Woo!" As Todoroki says, "Have that win to yourself." As Todoroki walks past Izuku congratulating them in their places. Uraka getting last place, fourth place. Izuku tries to comfort her that it was just a race. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Now, here comes the fighting part, I believe. Well, not yet. But everyone is basically excited that Izuku won. But now here comes the fighting part. First place gets the fight. First place in Class 1A. As Izuku, well, not Class 1A, but from the other class, the class that had Monoma in, right? 1B. Yeah, 1B. Class 1B. As it has Monoma in it. As Izuku says, "You again?" As Monoma says, Yeah, I tried my best to win so I can fight you. As Izuku says, alright, let's get this over with. Izuku going on full 4 legs and getting ready to attack. Monoma, noticing what he's gonna do, tries to dodge us out of the way. Izuku leaping towards Monoma, jumping out of the way. Monoma says, "Huh, you're even stupider than I thought, you overgrown gecko." As Izuku says, ugh. He's faster than I thought. What can I do? And, yeah. As Monoma says, if only I could copy a quirk, I could stand a chance. As, yeah, Izuku gets a little bit worried because, yeah. As, did I give Izuku one for all? Did I? I'm not sure. So if I did give him one for all in this what if, I might have to use it in the next part of this series. Sorry. But from now, he's not going to use it. Yeah. Izuku, basically, going around in circles as Monoma finally had enough and decided to copy someone else's quirk. And I'll tell you a little bit of a story. After Monoma got scared off by Izuku, he's been training his quirk so much that even if he looked at someone with their quirk, with a quirk, yeah, he can copy it even if it's disabled. But he decided to choose his Ida's quirk, Engine. As he propels himself at Izuku, pushing Izuku a bit, they're in a bit of a clash. Izuku's using his force of strength to push Monoma away, as Monoma uses his new copied Engine quirk as well. As Monoma says, how are you even in the hero course? You threatened to eat me. As Izuku says, I told that because you were annoying me. As Monoma said, oh really? You just told me that so you can scare me. As Izuku simply says, yes, so. As Monoma says, well, you're a pretty pathetic excuse for a hero. As Izuku has finally had enough. Both of his eyes are turned red. And Monoma gets pushed back by some form of force. Izuku's colors are slowly turning black. But instead of more green, it's more black now. But hints of green are there. As he says, let's come at me. As Monoma charges at Izuku, Izuku with his tail spikes, flings them at Monoma, catching him off guard. They puncture through his clothes, but not to the skin, and they propel him so much that he hits outside the region, causing Monoma to lose. Izuku goes back to his normal colors and say, what happened? As everyone says, Izuku, you won. As he says, yes. As next round has Uraka versus Shinzo instead. As Uraka is trying to float around Shinzo, as As Shinso says, well, your floating quirk will be useless against the villains. As Oraka says, well, thanks. Must not reply. Cannot be a hero if I lash out. As Shinso says, hey, did you hear me? Your quirk is useless. As Oraka gets bombarded with a lot more insults, as she finally touches Shinso, but she says, float, as that's technically a reply. As she gets put under the control, and Shinso says, put me down, as she says, release, causing him to float down slowly. And he says, now. Oh yeah, now, walk outside the space. As Izuku's watching from afar, and he says, now that's just playing dirty. Anyway, Oraka goes out, and she gets released from this hypnosis, and she says, huh? What happened? Did I win? As Shinso says, nope, you lost. Everyone else's quirk battles, despite Monoma and Oraka's, goes the same way. Now, it's Izuku and Shinso. They're fighting each other now. Shinso says he looks ugly and a giant pug face lizard. Izuku ignores these replies, thinking to himself, when will this ever end? Shinso says something so harsh that he basically said, I bet your mother regretted when she saw you. As everyone just gasps, even All Might. And even Inko from the TV. Yes, I think they were being recorded yet. As Izuku had enough. He goes on 4 legs and leaps at Shinso while saying, ah, that's it! I'm ripping your head off! As Shinso says, wait, why isn't this working? Ah! As Shinso's constantly, repeatedly scratched, but not outside the zone. As Shinso says, basically being dragged across the ground. As Izuku says, my mother loved me. Basically grabbing Shinso by the shirt and repeatedly punching him with one arm. As he said the full sentence, Shinso said, can you stop? As Izuku says, no, I've had enough of you. As Izuku says, if you want to be a hero, then die like one. A little reference from Technoblade. And he claws Shinso in the face. And before Shinso got up, Izuku pinned some of his quills into his shirt, causing him to get stuck in there. As Izuku says, that's what you get for insulting me, my mother, and Oraka. As Izuku gets to the winner place thing, as Shinso is basically taken to the not quirk doctor, wrong thing, he's not 4 years old, gets to recovery girl, yeah. As in Todoroki's battle, he wins, but with his ice. As it's time for Izuku and Todoroki's battle, as Todoroki says, I'm gonna turn you into fried chicken, you overgrown lizard. As Izuku says, clever. As in this what if, Izuku's been studying about dinosaurs now because he needs to know what he is and like what they're related to. As Izuku says, clever. How did you know dinosaurs are related to birds? As Tokoyami from afar the stage says, wait, I'm related to him? How? Anyway, cut back to the battle. As you know that deep fried chicken thing? Yeah? That was a little bit of hope for his dad, Endeavor. Like, Endeavor heard this and says, is he going to use his fire? As Todoroki says, but first I need to cool you off. Freezing Izuku by the leg. As Izuku says, ah, cold. As Todoroki says, now, I'm gonna win by pushing you outside. Basically doing ice bending. He tries to push Izuku out of the ring using the ice blocks as wheels. But Izuku escapes by leaping out of the ice, and everyone noticing his clothes are all torn up and replaced by feathers. Greenish black feathers. Well, blackish green feathers, sorry. As Todoroki says, what the hell? As Izuku says, if you're scared to use your father's quirk, remember it's not his, it's yours quirk. As Todoroki says, thank you, Midoriya. Lighting up a huge flame on his side, Izuku goes in to lunge at Todoroki, and a huge kaboom has been heard from afar. As Todoroki and Izuku are facing away from each other. Todoroki's on the side where Izuku started at, and Izuku is at the side where Todoroki was at, facing away from each other. Todoroki goes down as he gets taken to Recovery Girl again. Well, recovery, not again, but you know what I mean. As they say, Izuku wins again. Anyway, what was I gonna say? Anyway, it's time for the battle we've all been waiting for. Izuku versus Bakugo once again. As everyone's watching from afar, like, everyone's waiting to see who would win in this fight. Would Izuku go down, or would Bakugo lose? So they get ready for the fight. Bakugo will say, listen, nerd, I'm not gonna go easy on you. As Izuku says, as if. As Bakugo gets hit with a little bit of guilt, as Izuku sees this as chance and gets ready to lunge at him, Bakugo's been met with a mouth full of teeth, and gets pushed down to the ground. Bakugo says, clever, Gecko. As he uses his explosion quirk on Izuku, a little bit of a charring on his face. As Izuku turns back at Bakugo, Bakugo noticing he has a little bit of burnt on his face now, as he says, oh, yikes. Anyway, as a huge fight breaks out. One punch after the other, tail kick. And Bakugo has the upper hand now, as Izuku's on the ground. Basically, and Bakugo says, any last words before you lose? As Izuku says, I do have one. As Bakugo says, really? What? Look up. As Bakugo tries to see what's going on, nothing's there. Izuku finds this chance and headbutts Bakugo. As Bakugo is sent flying, as he says, you tricked me! As Bakugo is sent flying, and Izuku's galloping his way there. And basically, Izuku just flicks Bakugo on his nose, and he's outside the ring. And everyone is cheering Izuku's name. Izuku! 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 As Bakugo says, well done, nerd. You won. Yeah. 5 minutes pass by, and Izuku's on the stand. But the thing is, Izuku has to wear a muzzle now. Well, not really. I'm joking. Got ya, didn't I? Anyway, Izuku is on the first level stand. Tokoyami's on the second. And Froppy's on the last. Yeah, as I like to call it, the mutant trio. Anyway, All Might comes up with the medals, as All Might says, young Midoriya, I am proud of you. As Izuku says, thanks, All Might. Now I'm gonna have to end it off here. Sorry, everyone. Now I hope you finished that snack, or two, and your drink. I hope that cup is empty. Anyway, bye-bye. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want more. Hit the bell notification to be notified for more videos. Anyway, goodbye, friends. Goodbye, family. Anyway, bye.